Dr. Panagariya, you want to respond to that? That while Dr. Basu seems to be agreeing that the macroeconomic situation at various levels does give cause for optimism, he believes there are serious concerns. He's highlighted inflation, highlighting youth unemployment, highlighting investment to GDP ratio as three potential areas which are of concern as this government enters its 9th year.
Well, I don't know where to begin, Rajdeep. First of all, the UPA problem was not the problem of the last year. I mean, 12-13 was as bad as, probably worse than 13-14. 13-14 probably had a slightly higher growth of 6.4%. 12-13 was only 5.5. And before that was only 5.2%. So it was a long-term problem. And a lot of the reforms, 10 years the country lost. There had been a huge momentum of reforms under Prime Minister Vajpayee. And then nothing for 10 years. Growth happened, but that's because all the reforms had been done earlier by Prime Minister Rao and Prime Minister Vajpayee. What did the Manmohan Singh government do? What did the government do when Kaushik was serving there? Hardly any reforms happened.
But can I just for a first moment intervene to say that both of you could well cherry pick the years that you choose. Dr. Basu chose, Dr. Panagariya, the period post-2016, when an economy that was seemingly growing into double digits, 10%, post-demonetization slips into 5%, and post-2018, pre-pandemic, before 2020 March, has several consecutive quarters of declining growth. Was 2016 an inflection point in your view, and therefore we must look at life pre-2016, post-2016, just as Manmohan Singh government pre-2008 and post-2008?
No, it's not actually. Look, I mean, there is a cycle of growth rates. So just because growth rate is coming down doesn't mean growth rate is low. I think this is completely misleading way to look at the picture. I mean, growth rates, I can look at the growth rates rising from 5.2 to 5.5 to 6.4 to 7.4. I mean, these are the years where the previous government was finishing its term. These are rising growth rates. For 4 years, I give you from 5.2 to 5.5, 6.4, 7.4, 8.
Yes.
Is that high growth? That's very poor rate of growth. Actually, these growth rates, when even while declining, there are high rates of growth. From 8, you are going from 8 to 8.3 first, then you come to 7, then you come to 6.1. And yes, 1920 I can accept. 1920 was an exceptional year when the growth rate fell to 4%.
Yes.
But what was the cause of it? The cause of it goes back to, again, the UPA years. 2008 onwards, the kind of reckless lending that happened during that period. And this is the problem of NPAs, which always takes very long. And its manifestation ultimately into the decline in the growth rate is also much later. And that's what you see, actually, that 4% decline in the growth rate. But even during the pandemic years, the government has done enormous number of reforms, which will pay off as we go forward.
Give me, what according to you is that big ticket reform that you believe places this government in a better position to tackle the kind of challenges of a potential global recession and indeed high inflation?
Oh, wait a minute. First of all, the reforms I'm talking about are the insolvency and bankruptcy code,
yes,
for which I had been writing for 15 long years. It didn't happen. Finally, it was done by the Modi government. GST, labor law reforms, bringing the corporate profit tax to the global levels. So we are now competitive there. So these are 4 big ticket reforms. First, of course, the farm reform got reversed, but
yes,
I'll leave that. Now, on inflation, I think we are agreeing here. Kaushik is also saying that the source is outside, but don't overstate it. Inflation has been at the target level, which is about 6%. Margin is 6.0 or 6.01 or 0.7 is hardly different from 6. So the last 2 months. So let's wait and see what happens. And there is a base effect going on, by the way. So the base effect is, we'll see what happens in May. Some decline we might see simply because of the base effect. Actually, if you look at the index itself, November, December, January, it is declining, the index itself, but the base effect was the one that was driving the inflation rate. So let's see, base effect actually will be favorable in